The controversies surrounding Donald Trump's cabinet meeting naps and Pete Hegseth's escalating war crimes problem illuminate two intertwined dynamics in contemporary American politics: narrative manipulation and institutional erosion. Though the issues differ in severity, one about optics, the other about lethal force, their juxtaposition reveals a political ecosystem increasingly dominated by partisan storytelling rather than accountability. Reports indicate that Trump repeatedly fell asleep during a cabinet meeting. Rather than addressing concerns about attentiveness, cognitive stamina, or administrative seriousness, many Republican commentators quickly reframed the incident as a harmless sign of fatigue from working hard for the American people. This is a classic political spin maneuver, recasting a negative image into a badge of dedication. The goal is not to persuade skeptics but to stabilize the loyalty of existing supporters and to maintain the symbolic narrative of Trump as a tireless leader. Yet for others, a president dozing off in high-level deliberations raises legitimate questions about decision-making capacity and leadership reliability. The Hegseth situation is far more consequential. Investigations and media reports suggest that Hegseth transmitted sensitive military information via unsecured or encrypted personal channels, contradicting his claim of exoneration. More troubling, a U.S. military strike on a Venezuelan boat, followed allegedly by a lethal second strike on survivors, has prompted lawmakers and legal experts to warn that the operation may violate U.S. military laws and international humanitarian norms. If survivors were incapacitated and no longer posed a threat, a follow-up strike could constitute an unlawful killing. Even some Republicans have begun pressing for clarity and transparency. This is not merely a personal scandal, it exposes systemic vulnerabilities in the chain of command, the ethics of U.S. military engagement, and the credibility of American rules-based leadership. Placed together, the two controversies illustrate a deeper structural contradiction: symbolic politics dominating public attention while substantive issues of legality, governance, and moral responsibility are pushed to the margins. Trump's naps become a partisan meme, while potential violations of international law become another item in the daily churn of polarized news. Both events ultimately feed a wider crisis of trust, in leaders' competence, in the military's adherence to law, and in the government's ability to act transparently. In short, one story is about image management, the other is about institutional integrity. But both reveal a political culture where narrative warfare increasingly eclipses responsibility, and where the legitimacy of U.S. governance faces growing strain both at home and abroad.